Well, welcome back to our class, Writing 242 Technical Communication. This is going to be the last chapter that will be on this section on genres of technical communication. We've covered a lot of ground in each one that we've gone through. We've gone from, relatively speaking, simple type of genre to more complicated and elaborate genre. So this last one, when we deal with reports, is going to be the most elaborate. And so let's go ahead and get into this. But we're going to see that it's leveraging a lot of the information that we've already touched on. So that will make it maybe a little bit less daunting per se. So in this chapter, we'll learn how to identify the kind of final reports used in technical workplace. You can develop a plan to do research for a formal report and organize and draft a formal report. Personally, I found that doing studies and then you could start to capture that can be a lot of fun. And so I guess that is personalities centered. And so you may or may not find that a very enjoyable situation, but just keep that in mind. So you're going to be doing the elements that are necessary for a formal report. So not only have to do the report, you have to do the front matter and the back matter. So a table of contents, any type of acknowledgements that you would have. The back matter would be all of the footnotes, bibliography, appendices and all that. And then you have the main text as well. You want to use style and design to highlight important information and make it understandable. And you can be using the Google Drive to collaborate with other global terms, other and teams. And so Google Drive is just one of many things. This is an open source capability per se through Google. Microsoft has a lot of things that are quite useful as well. So keep in mind that this is just one in particular, one of many. So what are the types of formal reports? A research report, this would be something where you'd be presenting findings of a study. A scientific report is when it's written when an empirical project is completed, and so you have data and experiments and you want to be capturing that. A completion report reports back to management or the client on the outcomes of a project that was funded. A recommendation report makes suggestions about a course of action. And finally, a feasibility report determines when a course of action is possible. Okay, let's get into writing formal reports. As in the past, step one is the planning and doing research. And so for the planning, we want to be analyzing the situation. And so we have our 5W and how questions. And this is what it would be for this one. Who might read the report? Why was the course requested? What kinds of information or content do readers need? Where will this report be read? When will this report be used and how will this report be used? So once you have that kind of as a base, it's going to be a lot easier for you to come up with the best subject, purpose, readers, and context of use to help you to move forward. Once again, we're talking about these types of formal reports. And so think about maybe one or more of these that you have on your near horizon that you need to put together. So let's look at the researching a subject. So first of all, you want to be defining a research question. This is typically what you do is what is the question that you're asking? Once you've got that figured out, then you can be stating your hypothesis. Maybe after a little bit of research, you can say that, well, it looks like if we do X, Y, and Z, the hypothesis is this will produce the results that will give the desired outcome. Next, you collect information. So what is the state of the art? What have other companies or academic institutions have actually done? And then finally, you analyze gathered information. So in the collect information, you have the various sources, searching the internet, searching the library. Maybe you have a corporate library as well. You can be conducting your own experiments. Maybe there's a gap in what's available And so this is what you need to do to either to show that what you have is novel and it hasn't been captured before, or with the technology you have that there's a whole level of capability that you can figure out. Next, you want to observe subjects closely. And so you can have some case studies or things like that, or you could use other experimental methods. These are all the kind of things that you can be using for collecting the information. For researching, research in technical fields typically follows a pattern. So as we've already mentioned, you need to define what the research question is. This actually sounds very simple, but it is not. And you may have to iterate back and forth to get to a point where you have a research question that is clear and is going to be helpful. State a hypothesis. What do you, based on the information that you have, and whatever means that you would be coming up with that argument, an abductive argument, an inductive or deductive argument based on the things that you have in terms of your experience or things that you've already figured out and where you would go as a logical next step. Develop a research methodology would be next. And so that's something that you would be reporting about. What is your method that you would be using? Then collect the information by following the research method. So you follow the method that you lay out, and then you analyze the gathered information and use it to modify the hypothesis. Does the hypothesis need to be changed? Or is the hypothesis validated and then you've figured things out and then you're ready to go? Okay, so the various ways that you would gather information, you can be using the internet, the library, or say if you're looking at something specific, we're using a solar example here is maybe you're thinking of different things that you already have in existing solar systems. Develop an evaluation criteria. This is important part of your methodology. Maybe you have 3 or more evaluation criteria to help you do an analysis of alternatives. Then after that, you can do the analysis. And so you can be measuring things, you can calculating things with statistics. That's something that you can do. You can type interviews, say with administrators, the physical plant engineers, or solar experts. And then finally, you can analyze the results, creating models, having a model for a passive solar or an active solar. Maybe your solar panels are more elaborate and they actually track the sun. There's various ways that you can be thinking about. So this is, we're thinking of how you're going to be, say in a university, you're trying to figure out how best to heat a specific area, say engineering hall. Okay, now that you've done your research and everything, let's do step 2 and organize and draft. Your purpose statement will help you include only need to know information in the report. So that's important. So you want to define your subject. Okay, what is the focus of what you're doing? You're going to keep reminding the reader as you go through that. You want to state the purpose of the report. You have the research question, and you want to answer certain specific parts of the things that are relevant to that research question. You want to state the report's main point. You want to stress the importance of the subject to the readers. You want to offer background information to help give them the context, and then forecast the organization of the report. So all of that is things that you're starting to do as you're doing the organization and beginning to come up with a draft. So the body of your report should describe your methodology. So once again, we mentioned that. So having your method so it's clearly laid out and they can understand that. Summarize the results of your study. What did you come up with? And discuss, well, as a result of getting that information, this is what that means. So the concluding with recommendations at the end of the report, this is typically where you move to. And so you want to have recommendations, a summary, and then finally recommendations. So you make obvious transitions towards a conclusion. How are you starting to see that? Restate the main point of your report as a result of what you've done from your analysis, and state 2 to 5 major recommendations. So just a handful of major recommendations that you're finding. Emphasize the importance of the report, especially to your readers. Look to the future, describing the future research or possible outcomes. And then you can say thank you and offer contact information when the readers can contact you in case they want to have further dialogue about what you've created. Step 3, draft the front and back matter. So what is the letter or memo of transmission? What is the title page, the abstract or executive summary, and the table of contents? A lot of times, the executive summary needs to be written last because you need the benefit of having the whole report to get you there. Having the title, the title page, the letter or memo of transmission. This is going to have maybe a sentence or two that's giving some very high level context of what you have, and having the table of contents that has the final version of the material that you can make sure that you capture the back matters, the appendices, the glossaries, and the indexes. All of this is going to be helpful for a final report. For stage 4, step 4, we think about the style, the design, and the medium. Most readable reports are written in plain style with limited use of persuasion. You want to be using an active voice, use breathing length sentences, and so not run-on sentences. And so make sure you think about that. Eliminate nominalizations and define jargon or special terms, and make sure that you have those definitions readily available. Choose a functional document design and stick to that design. Use graphics to clarify and enhance your meaning. So now you've got a good report, but you want to put it into a format that's going to help enhance the aesthetics of what you have and make the getting at the information easy. And so having some type of a collaborative environment, Google Drive is what is mentioned in the textbook and in our lessons. It could also be SharePoint with Microsoft. There are a variety of different platforms that you could be using. So what are the benefits and the drawbacks? The benefits of Google Docs is it's free, it's web-based, it's software that easily allows for collaboration. Everybody can access and edit the most recent version of a document. The drawbacks is not as advanced as Microsoft or Adobe products, and files are stored on the server. And so there's a potential security risk that you might have somebody inadvertently getting access to that information. As we've done so far, for each one of these styles, we also mentioned the microgenre. And so here is one that's related to this, and this is something called a poster presentation. So poster presentation display the technical and scientific research in one large poster board. So it's meant to be something that's fairly standalone, or usually the person that did this work is standing next to that poster board, so they're ready to answer questions that might come up. So you can be choosing the appropriate software to help you do your analysis and also render the information on an aesthetically pleasing way to have it on a poster board. So you want to use a prominent title that attracts a reader. So this is going to be really important. You need something that's going to bring them into getting at what you're working on. Divide your presentation into major sections. So you might have like 4 quadrants, for example. That might be one of the ways that you could organize your poster board. Keep each section brief and to the point, and use text that is readable from 4 to 5 feet away. So this gives you an idea of how much text and graphics that you're going to be able to put on this poster board. You want to design an interesting layout and include images, graphics, and tables. All of this is going to be useful. Make sure you have your contact information. Somebody can get really enthralled with what you've created, and you want to make sure that they have a way to get back to you and say thank you and have some continued dialogue. All right, well, thank you very much. That's the end of this lecture.